What if I told you that one of the most powerful things you can do today to reduce your risk of falling is not something you need to buy, not something you need to install in your bathroom, and not a complicated exercise routine you have to force yourself to do every morning? It is something much simpler. It is a change in the way you walk. Just one small adjustment to a movement you have been doing your entire life and very likely doing differently over the last several years without even realizing it. After more than 26 years of working with adults over 70 as a physical therapist, I have seen the same pattern again and again. Someone comes into the clinic after a fall. They are shaken up, they are frustrated, sometimes they are embarrassed, and almost every time they say the same thing. I wasn't doing anything unusual, I was just walking. And they are telling the truth. They were just walking across the kitchen, just walking down the hallway, just walking to the bathroom, just turning around in the living room. Nothing dramatic, nothing reckless, nothing extreme. And that is exactly why this matters so much. Because for many older adults, the danger is not in doing something unusual. The danger is in a walking pattern that has quietly changed over time and become less safe, less stable, and much more likely to lead to a fall. The most concerning part is that this change usually happens so gradually that nobody notices it. Not the person doing it, not their family, sometimes not even their doctor, until one day a toe catches the edge of a rug, a foot clips a threshold, a step is shorter than it needed to be, the body pitches forward, and suddenly life changes in a second. A fall can take away confidence long before it takes away mobility. It can make a person afraid to walk outside, afraid to shower alone, afraid to carry groceries, afraid to move too quickly in their own home. I have seen people recover from bruises faster than they recover from that fear. That is why this topic matters so much. Today, I want to show you one walking adjustment that can immediately begin making your steps safer. It is simple. It is natural. And once you understand it, you can start practicing it with your very next step. Then I am going to give you 5 specific exercises that help train your body to use this walking pattern more easily and more confidently so it starts to feel normal again instead of forced. No fancy equipment, no gym membership, no complicated routines, just a smarter way to walk and a few focused movements that support it. And before we get into it, if you care about staying mobile, independent, and steady as you age, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss the practical health advice we share here each week. And if this video helps you, leave a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0 and tell me what I can do better. I read those comments and they help shape future videos. Now let's talk about the walking pattern that puts so many older adults at risk without them even knowing it. The problem is something called a shuffling gait. You have probably seen it. You may even recognize it in yourself. Picture someone walking down a hallway. Their steps are short, much shorter than they used to be. Their feet barely come off the ground. Instead of lifting and placing the foot, they slide it forward in a low, cautious motion. Their posture leans slightly forward. Their head is tilted down, watching the floor. Their arms barely swing. Everything about the movement says the same thing. I am trying to be careful. And that is what makes it so deceptive. Because it feels careful. It feels safer. It feels controlled. But in reality, it is often the exact opposite. A shuffling gait is one of the most common movement patterns I see in adults over 70, especially after a close call, a previous fall, a period of reduced activity, or just years of gradually losing strength and confidence. It rarely appears all at once. It sneaks in slowly. A person gets a little more cautious. They shorten their steps a little. They stop lifting the foot as high. Their body leans forward a bit more. Their walking speed changes. Their confidence drops. And before they know it, this new pattern has become their normal. Here is why that matters. When your feet stay very close to the floor, there is almost no room for error. A slightly raised rug edge, a wrinkle in the carpet, a threshold between rooms, a crack in the sidewalk, the corner of a mat, even a small object left on the floor can become a trip hazard. If the toe catches just a little, the body often does not have enough time or enough space to recover. That is especially true when the posture is already leaning forward. When the center of gravity shifts forward, the body is much closer to the point of losing balance. So if the foot catches, the momentum is already taking you in the wrong direction. There is less time to react, less room to correct, and less strength available to stop the fall once it begins. A shuffling gait also tells us something deeper. It often means the muscles responsible for lifting the leg and controlling the step are not working as well as they used to. The hip flexors may be weaker, the glutes may not be contributing enough, the ankles may be stiffer, the core may be less engaged, the nervous system may be relying more on fear and habit than on efficient movement. That sounds discouraging, but here's the good news. These patterns can improve, not overnight, not with wishful thinking, but with the right cue, the right practice, and repetition. And the first place I start with many patients is one very simple change. I want you to begin each step with your heel. This is called a heel strike. And for many people, restoring this one part of the walking pattern creates a chain reaction that makes the entire gait safer, smoother, and more stable. Let me explain. When the body walks naturally and efficiently, the heel touches down first. Then the weight rolls forward through the foot, moving through the arch toward the ball of the foot. Finally, the toes push off to help drive the next step. That rolling pattern matters. It helps the body absorb force. It helps maintain forward momentum. It encourages proper posture. It improves foot clearance, and it allows the muscles of the hips, legs, and core to work the way they were designed to work. But when people become fearful, weaker, or less mobile, that pattern often changes. Instead of reaching the heel forward and rolling through the foot starts landing more flatly. Sometimes it even lands almost toe first. The push-off becomes weaker, the stride becomes shorter, the foot stays too close to the ground, and little by little, the body stops using the natural walking mechanics that help keep it upright. So what does this correction actually look like? It is not dramatic. You do not need giant steps. You do not need to walk fast. And you definitely do not need to exaggerate so much that it feels unnatural. All I want you to think is this. Lift the foot. Reach the heel forward slightly. Let the heel touch first. Then roll through the foot and push off with the toes. That is it. Lift, reach, heel, roll, push. When that happens, several good things begin happening at the same time. First, your foot clears the ground better, which means you are less likely to catch your toe on small obstacles. Second, your stride naturally becomes a little longer, which helps restore a healthier walking rhythm. Third, your posture often improves automatically because reaching the heel forward encourages the body to come more upright instead of collapsing into that forward shuffle. And fourth, the muscles that have been underused start participating again. The hips work harder, the glutes contribute more, the ankles move more normally, the core becomes more active. In other words, your body starts rebuilding the very pattern that protects you from falls. Now, I want to be very clear about something. This is not magic. It is not a cure-all, and it is not the only factor in fall prevention. Vision matters, footwear matters, medication side effects matter, home safety matters, strength matters. But if your daily walking pattern has become shuffling and you begin restoring a proper heel strike with better foot clearance and better step mechanics, that can be an incredibly meaningful step in the right direction. So now the question becomes, how do you make that new walking pattern feel natural? That is where these 5 exercises come in. These are not random exercises. Each one targets a different part of the walking pattern, so your body is not just hearing the instruction, but actually learning how to do it. Exercise number 1, conscious heel strike walking. This is where everything begins. Why does it matter? Because many people who have been shuffling for months or even years have not just changed the way they walk physically, they have changed it neurologically. The brain has practiced the shuffling pattern so many times that it starts to feel automatic. That means if you want to walk differently, You have to teach the brain and body a new pattern through repeated, deliberate practice. This exercise does exactly that. Here is how to do it. Find a hallway, countertop, or clear open space where you feel safe. If needed, walk near a wall and lightly touch it with one hand for support. Stand tall, take a breath, then begin walking slowly. But this time, do not think about walking the usual way. Think only about the sequence. Lift the foot, reach the heel slightly forward, let the heel touch first. Roll through the foot, push off through the toes, take 10 slow steps forward this way, then turn carefully using small controlled steps or a gentle marching turn and walk back 10 steps. That is one set. Complete 3 sets, resting for about 30 seconds between sets if needed. Now here's what I want you to focus on most. Slow down. This is not regular walking. This is movement retraining. The slower you go, the more control you have, and the more clearly your brain can relearn the pattern. If you rush, the old habit comes back. If you slow down, the new pattern has a chance to take hold. If this feels awkward at first, that is normal. In fact, awkward usually means you are doing something new, and that is exactly what we want. Once this becomes easier on one surface, try it on another safe surface like carpet instead of hardwood. That slight change helps your nervous system adapt the skill instead of only learning it in one exact setting. Exercise number 2, the high knee march. Why does this matter? Because one of the biggest reasons people shuffle is that the muscles that lift the leg have gotten weaker or less active. If the leg does not lift well, the foot stays too close to the ground. If the foot stays too close to the ground, the risk of tripping goes up, so we need to rebuild that lifting action. Stand behind a sturdy chair or at a countertop. Place both hands lightly on it for support. Stand tall. Then lift your right knee toward your chest as high as it feels comfortable. Lower it back down with control. Then lift your left knee. That is 1 repetition per side. Complete 15 lifts on each side for 30 total lifts. Do not rush it. The goal is not speed. The goal is height and control. As you lift the knee, stay tall through your torso. Do not lean backward to cheat the motion. Let the hip do the work. Then lower the foot slowly instead of dropping it. That lowering phase matters more than people realize. It builds control, and control is what you need when the foot returns to the ground during walking. As this gets easier, you can turn it into a walking march. Move slowly down the hallway, lifting one knee, placing the heel down first, then lifting the other. This blends the marching action with the heel strike walking pattern and makes the exercise even more functional. Exercise number 3, stride length walking. Why is this important? Because a shuffling gait almost always comes with a shortened stride, and a very short stride often leads to poor rhythm, reduced momentum, and that forward-tipped posture that makes recovery harder if something goes wrong. We want to safely reintroduce a slightly longer step. To do this, place 2 pieces of tape on the floor about 12 to 18 inches apart, depending on your comfort level. Start with less distance if needed. You are not trying to force a huge step. You are simply giving yourself a visual target. Stand at one end of your hallway and take a step so your heel lands near or just beyond the tape marker. Then do the same with the other foot. Walk 10 full strides this way, turn carefully, and return. Complete 2 passes. The key here is intention, not exaggeration. Do not lunge. Do not overreach. Do not sacrifice balance to chase distance. Instead, think a little more reach, a clear heel landing, a smooth roll through. Over time, as your confidence and control improve, you can increase the distance slightly, even by just half an inch at a time. Those small changes add up. Most people are surprised by how quickly their natural stride begins improving once they start paying attention to it. Exercise number 4, slow motion walking. This is one of my favorites because it exposes everything. Why does it help? Because when people walk at normal speed, they often rely on momentum and habit. That means the body can hide a lot of weakness, stiffness, or poor control. But when you move in extreme slow motion, every part of the walking pattern becomes visible and trainable. Stand in your hallway near a wall if needed. Begin walking as slowly as you can. I mean truly slowly. Let each step take 3 to 4 seconds. Lift the foot, pause, reach the heel forward, lower it with control, shift the weight, push off, then repeat. Walk the full length of the hallway in this way, turn carefully, come back. That is one set, do 2 sets. Now this will feel strange, and it should. Slow motion walking removes the shortcuts. The ankles have to stabilize, the hips have to control, the trunk has to stay organized, the nervous system has to pay attention. If you wobble a little, that does not necessarily mean you are failing. It may mean your balance system is finally being asked to do its job. As you improve, you can challenge yourself by pausing for 1 second when the foot is in the air before placing it down. That brief pause builds single leg stability, which is one of the most important ingredients in safe walking. If you ever feel unsteady, keep one hand near the wall and reduce the challenge. Safety always comes first. Exercise number 5, obstacle step over. This is where we begin connecting practice to real life. Why does it matter? Because real life is not a perfectly clean hallway. It is rugs, cords, thresholds, shoes near the door, pet toys, uneven sidewalks, and all the little things that can turn into a problem if the foot does not lift properly. So we need to train the body to recognize an obstacle and clear it with confidence. Place a rolled towel, a pool noodle, or another soft object on the floor. Keep it low at first, around 4 inches. Stand a few feet away with a wall, chair, or countertop nearby. Walk toward the obstacle at a calm, controlled pace. As you approach it, do not wait until the last second. Lift your foot early. Bring the knee up, clear the object. Land with your heel on the other side. Then bring the second leg through. Continue a few steps forward. Turn carefully. Repeat. Do 5 passes in each direction for 10 total crossings. What matters here is not speed. It is planned. You want your brain to learn. I see the obstacle. I prepare early. I lift enough. I landed safely. That is exactly the sequence that prevents panic trips in everyday life. As this becomes easier, you can change the object slightly or vary the height a little. You can also practice carrying something very light in one hand, because in real life, people are often holding mail, a cup, or a small bag when a trip happens. Just make sure the setup stays safe and you always have support nearby. Now, before you start doing any of these exercises, I need to give you an important safety warning. Please do not skip this part. If you have had a recent surgery, especially a hip, knee, ankle, or foot procedure, if you have severe arthritis pain, uncontrolled dizziness, significant neuropathy, chest pain with activity, or if your doctor has told you to avoid weight-bearing exercise, speak with your physician or physical therapist before trying these movements. And even if none of those apply to you, use common sense. Practice near a wall, sturdy chair, or countertop. Do not rush. Wear supportive, non-slip footwear or go barefoot only if the surface is safe and you know that works well for you. Stop immediately if you feel sharp pain, unusual shortness of breath, dizziness, or anything that does not feel right. There is no exercise in this video that is worth risking your safety for. Progress slowly. Own the movement. Let consistency do the work. Now let me tell you what usually happens when people actually stick with this. At first it felt awkward. The heel strike feels too deliberate. The marching feels harder than expected. The slow walking feels almost ridiculous. And many people think, maybe this just isn't how I walk anymore. But then something changes. After a few days, they start noticing their feet are clearing the floor a little better. After a week or two, turning feels more controlled. Their posture begins to come up. They stop looking down at the floor as much. Their steps become more confident. Their walking starts to look less guarded and more natural. And perhaps the most important change is this: they feel less afraid. That matters more than most people realize. Fear changes movement. Fear shortens the step. Fear stiffens the body. Fear makes people rush when they should slow down and freeze when they should step. When someone begins to trust their body again, the quality of their movement often improves right along with it. This is why fall prevention is not only about muscle strength. It is also about restoring a better relationship between the brain and the body. A person who feels stable walks differently than a person who feels fragile. That is what these exercises are really helping rebuild. Not perfection, not youth, not some unrealistic version of the body from 30 years ago, but steadiness, control, confidence, independence. And that word independence is the one I care about most because safe walking is not just about avoiding injury. It is about protecting everyday life. It is about being able to get to the bathroom at night without fear, to answer the door without rushing dangerously, to walk through the grocery store without feeling like one wrong step could ruin your week, to go outside and enjoy a morning walk, to move through your own home like it still belongs to you. That kind of freedom is precious. And while no single tip solves everything, walking with better foot clearance, a clearer heel strike, a healthier stride, and stronger control can absolutely move you in the right direction. So here is what I want you to remember from this video. If your walking has become shorter, lower, and more hesitant over time, do not ignore it. Do not assume it is just part of getting older. Do not wait for a fall to tell you something needs attention. Start with one simple cue. Lift the foot, reach the heel, land on the heel first, roll through, push off, then support that new pattern with practice. Conscious heel strike walking, high knee marching, stride length walking, slow motion walking, obstacle step overs. You do not have to do all of them for an hour a day. You just have to do them consistently. 5 or 10 focused minutes practiced regularly will do more than occasional bursts of motivation followed by long gaps. The body learns through repetition. The nervous system learns through repetition. Confidence returns through repetition. That is how safer walking is built. Not by waiting, not by worrying, not by buying another gadget and hoping it solves the problem for you, but by teaching your body a better pattern one step at a time. If this video helped you, leave a 1 in the comments. And tell me this too. When do you feel least steady? First thing in the morning, turning around, walking at night, going up and down the hallway? I'd love to know. And your answer may help someone else feel less alone. And if you know someone who has started taking shorter, shuffling steps, please share this video with them. Sometimes one simple cue at the right time can prevent a very painful fall later. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of your body, respect your pace, and keep choosing the small daily movements that protect your strength, your confidence, and your independence. Because aging is not about giving up control. It is about learning what your body needs now and responding with wisdom. And sometimes that wisdom begins with something as simple as changing the way you take your very next step.